right now.
To the bottom left, we have our Terran player winning the first game, then losing the second on a kill on. It is
SK Telecom T1 Fantasy.
Fantasy down in game 2, but can he take game 3? He's up against the Zerg player to the top right in blue. Another Kespa player. He is
Samsungkan Sola.
Sola playing so well in game number 2. And we talked after his loss in game number 1 a little bit about the strategy that he chose. And I mentioned that I really liked his build in the first game. And the same is true for the second map. You could really see that there was a lot of thoughts going into what exactly he was going to do. On the 4-player map, he decides to take a calculated risk that in the end didn't really turn out in his favor, but still it was a very good idea that he tried to pursue. Now in the second game, he was playing a timing that was designed to exactly take down Fantasy's playstyle. Now we have the third map. And it's going to be really interesting to me to see what both players have been preparing here. I feel like Sola is more the one who tries to get an edge with playing a little bit more of a unique strat or an opening, whereas on the other hand we have Fantasy relying on his exceptional micro and macro to play the solid game.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it shows in game 1 and in game 2. In game 1 he goes for a very unusual 3 hatchery before pool build. You don't see that very often, but he took a risk on a 4-player map. And then in game 2 he goes for this really unique timing as well. So I wonder if he's got something special planned for game 3 as well. Part of the reason why he went for that attack on game 2 I feel is the map. He knows that this is a map that in the late game Fantasy is probably going to wipe the floor with him if he lets him get the 3-3 upgrades and get those medevacs out. So I like his choice to hit a timing on map 2. Daybreak though, very different map. A very good map for both races. This is probably the most balanced map we've ever had.
Yeah, Daybreak's still a great map. And here comes the Overlord in, sees already the barracks, of course has to go back. The Marine saw it though.
Yep, the Marine gonna just be annoying here. I don't think he can actually take that down. It's gonna go down to like 80. He's trying really hard. 91, 85.
There's nothing that looks more ridiculous than an Overlord that is actually trying to run away.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I think Fantasy realizes he can't get it, but he's still microed like so hard on that Marine just in case, like Solar misclicked or something.
You know what I've never seen, thinking about it, and I would love to see that, is a Marine trying to chase down an Overlord and then just mid-chase when the Overlord is nearly dead, suddenly the speed upgrade kicks in and the Overlord is like, ha-ha, and just flies away. I don't think I've ever seen it.
That would be really funny to see.
That would be a really cool comic too, think about that.
Yeah.
I mean...
I think that in Legacy of the Void, the Overlords need to, whenever they start getting shot by a Marine like this, start waving their arms around at least while they're moving, so it looks like they really care.
Whee! Nah, that would be quite funny. But, well, I'm sure it has happened in some game, but I haven't seen it just yet, I think.
Well, Fantasy's sticking with his classic style here. He goes into Factory before 3rd Command Center.
Yep, the Factory now on its way. We also see the Reactor here, very MVP-like what he's doing currently. And Sola, the one who's still trying to find out what exactly is going on here. And I really want to see when he's going to take his 3rd base. So far, we have no attempt from Sola to take a 3rd.
Yeah, no attempt at all. And he has a decent amount of gas, mined. He pulled out. He's going for speed, which is very safe, but still, you would normally see a 3rd base for this. And he starts 10 drones, so he's not doing a big speedling attack like we've seen some Terrans or Zergs do.
3rd drone already in position at the center right. The Zergling is trying to take down the SCV, and he places down the hatch even before...
Don't think you see that.
No, there's no way.
No way. By the way, we're going to have Hellbats.
Oh, he saw it! Whoa!
Oh, he barely saw that. Look at that.
He actually saw it. You know, I was a little bit surprised that Sola placed down the hatch. I actually thought that he was looking at the SCV and was like, you know what? I'm going to delay the hatch for like 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and then I will make sure that you don't see it and place it down after the SCV is down. I was a bit surprised to see him place down the hatch before it was gone.
We're talking a few seconds different, so I think it would have been much more useful for him to hide that. That would have made Fantasy play a little bit more defensively, but as it is, he's going to go into Hellbats. There's no other reason why this armory is out this early unless he thought he already had 1-1 finished up, and there's the first Hellbat in production, the second one as well. And this is something, a timing that we don't see very often. This may catch Solar off guard a little bit.
It was one of those timings and one of those things that were abused quite a bit, if I can use this word abuse here for a second.
Sure.
when the game came out, and Zerg players got much better defending against it. The thing is that Hellbats are so slow that you can't run away. You always have to kite them the entire time. But if you only utilize Zerglings, then it's going to be very difficult. And Fantasy is so smart. Having 3 Marines here to stop the Overlord is exactly what he needs, but he saw the factory now.
Yeah, he knows, of course, Hellions of some kind are coming out there with Widow Mines is what he's assuming, but he doesn't see the armor, he doesn't see the reactive medevac, so...
But he's starting another queen at least.
Yeah.
So that's definitely true. He already is at 4, so that would be 5 queens.
But he is droning up like a madman, and he has no lings, so if he starts making lings as the Hellbats are in his main, he's only going to be able to rely on those queens. He has 8 Zerglings right now, make that 7.
The queens are really good against the Hellbats, though, if you put in the micro. That's the most important part. Because the Roaches still have a very similar range than the Hellbats, and so it's very difficult actually to micro them completely away if you don't have a huge amount of them. But the problem is it's not only the Hellbats, it's the Hellions at the 3rd, and now suddenly we have a double-pronged attack by Fantasy.
He's going to take out all of these lings instantly. The drones trying to run away here. He has to micro 2 different locations, and so far he's not doing it. The medevacs can actually boost and chase.
He's really dealing well with the Hellbats in the main base. His problems are those Hellions at the 3rd.
Yeah, looks like nice targeting on the medevac, gets it down, but a good pickup by Fantasy, gets into the healthy medevac. Now he's going for the drones here, they're very stacked up.
Good pulse though, really making this work in his advantage, that the drones are much faster than the Hellbats, and so far the Hellbats alone didn't do that much damage. The problem are the Hellions at the 3rd base that killed even more. 15 Harvesters gone.
And he's got 2 more medevacs loaded up and ready to go. He's not going to stop with the aggression. This is kind of like what we've seen in Terran versus Terran with the reactor medevac Widowmine drops, or not Widowmine drops, the Hellbat drops. And here he goes again at the 3rd, and there's a boosted one into the main base as well.
Yeah, but the one at the 3rd not doing too much damage. In the main base, the queens are ready.
Yeah, really great defense here by Solar. It's like he's dealt with this 1,000 times, just very calm. Targets the medevac first, pulls the drones.
You know, he probably has dealt with it 1,000 times on ladder.
Yeah,
but
sure
this is definitely well executed by Fantasy too. He's everywhere. He's going to the 3rd, to the main base. He's making sure that those dropships are just switching positions. So 24 workers killed. That is definitely a good job here by Fantasy. You can really see how all this harass pays off for him.
And not afraid to make a spine, though, Solar is. I like that. That spine core at the back in the mineral line is going to be useful later on as well. And 2 Overlords now dying, trying to scout.
And I love seeing this this Viking. It's nothing new, it's something that we see all the time, but we have seen so many games just recently where a Terran player did not get the Viking, and suddenly the Overlords make sure that everything was spotted, every drop was just signaled minutes before it arrived in the main base. So it's really nice to see that Fantasy, even though he's going for such a drop build early on, is using this one medevac to make sure that there is not a lot of scouting going on for Sola.
Well, let's talk about the composition now for Fantasy. He has only 2 medevacs and 8 Marines as an army. So this Hellbat drop attack did a decent amount of damage, but the question is it enough? Because now he doesn't really have an army on the ground, and he lost all of his medevacs during the drops as well. So he doesn't have very many medevacs. He doesn't have a large ground army. He's trying to go towards that right now with all the barracks and reactors he's adding, but he's a little bit behind where he would be normally in a game like this, but Solar, of course, losing those drones is as well. So this is kind of a different game than what you would normally see at the 12-minute mark.
Solar is on a very low economy, given that he's already on 3 bases. His harvester count is roughly at 62 now. And this means that he's on exactly the same amount of harvesters as Fantasy is. But Fantasy has those 3 orbitals, which definitely gives him a bit of an edge. So Sola has to be careful about how he approaches now the mid-game. He wants the 4th base, but he also wants to make sure that Fantasy can't safely take his 3rd. But it's very difficult for Sola to do anything about it. He's probably trying to run in with a few units at some point, but it's very difficult because Fantasy plays a great game when he is going into the defense here.
Yeah, and Solar is looking like he's toying with the idea of just running up here and doing a big attack. Now he's definitely going to do it. He's adding 32. I don't know if I like this because there's a lot of Widow Mines ready, and he knows that.
Well, you know, he's on 1-1, so he's really trying to execute this build that we've seen from Scarlet played against MVP. And this could work. Stim's moving in, and Stim is not done. You're so right. All those Widow Mines are not there just yet, and here come the Banelings!
All the Banelings doing so much here. The Widow Mines not connecting well against them. Good splits by Solar, and Fantasy is in a lot of trouble here. He's going to lose so many Harvesters as natural at the very least. Oh my god! Tries to boost and pick them up, but a bit too slow.
That was beautiful.
And
the
again,
same is true for the 3rd. Sola is awesome. Look at this. This is beautiful. Fantasy with such a great harass at the beginning. Sola defending, losing a lot of Harvesters, and then the counter aggression, taking down so many of Fantasy's units. But the Terran player, he's not done yet.
Yeah, he's going for more drops in the main base. In total, Solar killed 37. 37 harvesters with that attack. And in total, the worker count is now 59 to 31, so almost double. But still, like you said, Solar's on a very low economy, and it looks like he wants to just continue these attacks. But eventually, the attacks will become weaker and weaker.
This is a great series, Wolf. I love it. Fantasy with the aggression early on, losing a lot of medivacs, of course, and also the Hellbats. Now he's trying to push this back. The Banelings not ready just yet, but here we go. It is once again time for the Banelings, but great splits by Fantasy.
Yeah, Solar really committing to these Banelings. I think it's a mistake. I don't know why he let these finish. Now it's going to be totally trashed. He's losing his drones as natural. And look at that. Every single Baneling is cleaned up. I think that was a huge mistake to not cancel those.
Fantasy splitting his Marines like Moses split water. It's brilliant. The Zerglings running in again, saving the natural, and at the same time the Terran player defending his third. Great job here trying to stabilize in this epic game.
Solar now down to 56 harvesters, and he's not making any more. Now starts 2 and Aspire. A little bit indecisiveness here, I feel. He's going into more and more Lings, but then suddenly starts Aspire and a few drones. The Lings that he had are enough to defend, so I'm not sure why he decided to pour on the Lings. I think he's getting a little bit desperate right now to deal with Fantasy.
I really love this game. It's just, they are exchanging punches the entire time, and I love that Sola is not backing down here and not looking at this and trying to defend the entire time, giving Fantasy the initiative. No, the guy is always turning around and trying to look for an aggressive opening. He's moving in again.
Snipes a Queen and gets out.
He actually has only 2 harvesters in the second gas in his main base, by the way. This is a small thing, but in the end,
it adds up.
Yeah, exactly. It will add up, especially when this is going to be a game that lasts for another 15 minutes.
Right, and you know, when you're going for expensive gas upgrades like 2-2 and you want to get Mutalists out as well, it's very difficult to do that when you're losing gas left and right with only having 2 harvesters. He's going to have 0 in this extractor, and pulls the drones back way too soon.
Yeah, there we go. Once again, the medivac here, and you can really see that now in the middle of the map, suddenly Fantasy is also pushing in, making sure that the entire creep is forced back. Fantasy is in a great position once again. It looked scary when Sola attacked with the 1-1 Ling Baneling timing, but now we have the Terran player 20 supply up and with a Doom drop into the main base.
Yep, and 2-2's about to finish with this Doom drop, and he's going to have it before Solar. He drops again at the third. The multitasking of Fantasy is too much, and the Widowmines are with this drop, 3 of them.
Uh-oh, this spells trouble. Solar sending in individual Zerglings to trigger the countdown, but now we move in again at the third, but those Queens don't stand a chance against the Marines.
And he gets out with most of his units. The Widowmines still there as well. Don't forget, they're going to be back off of cooldown very soon. And the Mutas he has here are just not able to catch and deal with these Marines.
This is not looking good for Sola here. He's falling farther and farther behind in the game. We still have those. He must have seen the Widowmines, Wolf. Oh God.
Fantasy is picking Solar apart like a critic picks apart a bad movie. This is looking worse and worse all the time. He's going to lose his Mutas here. Only like 5 Marines in that army, but it's enough to clear up the Mutas with the medivacs with the 2-2.
Yeah, this is not looking good at all. I mean, this is like the final blow. And we have so much aggression here by Fantasy. He's moving in again to the 4th, as you can see here. The drop in the main base is finally cleared, but now we have a 70 supply lead for Fantasy, who goes into 3-3 already. This guy just doesn't stop.
Yeah, this is going to be the end for Solar in his run in the Challenger League. He does not advance to the Premier League Code S.
No, he's not gonna. This is just way too much. Fantasy was already in Code S, and he is showing now exactly how he managed to be there.
And there will be no up and downs for Solar today either this season. He is going straight back to the qualifiers. 3-3 is getting closer and closer all the time for Fantasy, who's now nearly doubling Solar's supply. He's going to go for another drop. He could target down the lair if these Lings don't come back.
I really have to give it to Solar, though. It was a great effort that we've seen in the series.
Yeah.
A lot of people expected it to be a 2-0 for Fantasy. There's the GG as Fantasy wins the 3rd game. But great effort by Solar. Congratulations, of course, to Fantasy. An excellent performance here. Advances to the 2nd round of the WCS Challenger League Korea. But Solar, I have to say, very strong performance here. Nice builds. I like the ideas that he had. I like the openings that he chose against his opponent.
Yeah.
In the end, it was not enough.
For me, there's 2 words to describe Solar's play, and it's creative and smart. I mean, he knew the maps he was playing on. He made good strategies for them, and he hit really nice attacks, but Fantasy just had too much multitasking. The drops that he was doing during that attack, for example, in Game 3, I think was what ended up getting him the game.
Don't forget that Sola is only 16 years old and he did not have as much experience, neither in Brood War nor in StarCraft 2 and Fantasy, so that's definitely something that comes into play here too.
Yeah, and up next, we're going to have Sniper versus Trap. We'll have a quick...
It's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys after a 5